It is no surprise to many of our listeners that we are all about driver cars, not driverless cars on this podcast. We have referenced our collective favorite book, probably, Why We Drive by Matthew Crawford, many, many times. And there's some very good and different reasons against fully autonomous vehicles in that book. And if you're a car enthusiast, a driving enthusiast, or just curious about the technology, it's a fantastic read. With that said, let's talk about autonomous cars tonight. Let's talk about Waymo. They've been in the news a few times over the past year for some relatively odd things. And so I kind of wanted to just do a check-in of how they're doing based on some of these crazy articles. Some of them are a little bit of artistic license or, inflammatory, right? Because it makes a good headline. But there is some crazy stuff that's happening. Not the least of which is one of my favorite ones is a Phoenix cop pulled over a Waymo, not a driver, a Waymo. They pulled over the car for driving in opposing lanes.
So first, okay, we'll come back to the main point of that in a second. I'm just going to set that off to the side. How can they pull over an autonomous? Does it have code or something to know if it sees a certain type of flashing light to pull over?
Yes, it actually is programmed to deal with emergency vehicles quite well. Okay. And the cops have issued statements saying that they're actually brilliant to deal with, right? They typically pull over
nobody's
immediately.
Gonna talk back to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody's gonna be like, "No, officer, I wasn't speeding."
Yep. They roll down the windows. They can identify police vehicles, police officers, whatever. And I wonder what happens if they get pulled over by like a police impersonator. That's going to be a real new one. So they roll down the windows, the cop presses a button, and they're immediately connected with a customer service agent. They explain the issue and, typically take the necessary action. If they need to take the vehicle off the road, send out a technician, whatever, they do that. This one inspired a little bit of ire, though, in citizens and in myself, and for good reason. So there was a construction zone. The vehicle apparently moved over into the opposing lanes. Apparently, the construction markings were confusing, which that's believable. We've all experienced that. But it continued to drive in opposing lanes of traffic and never got back into the regular lanes. So the cop lit him up, and instead of pulling over, the Waymo took off through an intersection.
What?
Yes. So it was a very short-lived chase. It did pull off into a parking lot, and everything was fine. Nobody got hurt. But a couple people watched this. All of this is on body cam. It's somewhat humorous. But the cop is totally pleasant, wonderful, which some of us know that regardless of our skin color or our beliefs about cops, that would not go well for any of us if we did the same thing.
Like you come rocking. And honestly, like that was a very dangerous situation that the cop probably would have been trying to grapple with and get under control. Not to excuse anybody's behavior at any point, but still, like, that's honestly surprising. You'd think it'd be like hot to trot about something.
Right. So the biggest issue in my mind, which I don't know how you ticket them, but there was no ticket issued. And I'm like, this is a big deal. Like, this is a definite safety issue. They're driving down the wrong lane of traffic and they take off from a cop through an intersection. And the cop's super chill about it. And it's like, all right, no big deal. Get your stuff fixed. And a lot of commenters, rightly so, are like, no, that vehicle needs to be shut down immediately, maybe even the whole fleet, until we figure this stuff out.
Yeah. Now, that could have been so dangerous. That was dangerous. It could have been so bad.
Yes, it was dangerous. Could have been a worse outcome. Let's contrast this to how some police react to citizens doing that. A number of years ago, go watch the dash cam video. It's wild. Everybody who watches any police videos at all knows about the Arkansas State Police. They are famous for their pit maneuvers and wild high-speed chases. This one was no exception. A pregnant mom was driving down the highway. ASP lit her up, and she put on her turn signal and then put on her hazards, slowed down, was in the right lane, but there was limited space for her to pull over because there was a concrete barrier to the right of the breakdown lane. So it was a compressed lane. There was still room, but not much room, and it really wasn't safe. So she put on her hazards, slowed down, and like waved out the window to indicate she saw the cop and was traveling to the next exit. This cop was not having this, as within a matter of like a minute or two, pitted this woman.
What?
She hit the center median and flipped over. Yes.
What?
Yeah.
I was going to make some dumb joke about them using Need for Speed in their training sessions or something, but like, golly.
Right. So if you're a self-driving car and you take off, cop's friendly, nice, no big deal. Yeah, okay, just have a nice day.
What?
But if you're a pregnant mom, might get pit if you do that. And the Arkansas State Patrol handbook at the time did actually say that it was official whatever protocol for if people were looking for a safe place to pull off, to put on their hazards and to continue.
Oh, it wasn't to like pit them for evading the cops?
No. Like
nice.
The cop got, he's still a cop, but the cop got written up whatever disciplinary action because every single higher up that reviewed this footage said he violated protocol.
Gotcha.
The lady did get a settlement from the Arkansas State Police as well.
Was she okay?
Yes, she was fine. She was fine, but she did get a big settlement, and they did also revise their policy to be more clear on when deadly force could be used, because that is deemed deadly force.
Yeah,
you
she
hit
flipped.
somebody. Yeah.
Nothing.
Right? So anyway, it seems like these are two fairly extreme examples, but it seems like people are upset, and I'm a little upset that there's a double standard between if a person does this versus a driverless car. The statistics are in favor of driverless cars, at least according to Waymo.
Well, that seems like there's some bias.
Fine, but they do say that they're safer, they're less prone to accidents, whatever. And arguably, that's probably true. I would probably trust a automated car versus somebody who's texting and driving. There are a lot of bad drivers out there.
Yes, I mean, I guess if you dig at the bottom of the barrel, well, not even, honestly. Driving down the road, I see some really shady stuff sometimes that it's like, ooh, narrowly missed something. Something could happen.
Right.
But I feel like, and this is a point that our buddy in spirit here makes, I think, in the book somewhere, is that, they only truly work if they're all driverless, if it's all, because you can't remove the human element from things unless it's all gone. And to that same point, that human element is some of what makes our reactions better and our decisions better in a moment of intense decision making on what do I do? We are much more capable of making those decisions in a better outcome, I guess. I don't know. I forget exactly how he makes the point, but we as humans are much more adapted to that than a bunch of if statements in a computer, which is dramatically oversimplifying what goes on.
Did you know, and this is not a misogynistic statement, but it's going to be taken as such no matter what.
Scared.
The reason, no, seriously, I read this somewhere or learned it in racing school or something, and maybe it's even wrong. I don't know, but I have heard this, that the reason men are typically better at racing is not because of the driving skill itself, but because of just the different programming that men and women have that's natural to their biological makeup, that men are better at the automatic reaction, like the quick reaction, whereas women are more prone to thinking things through. And so when you need those microsecond reactions at 200 miles an hour, men are just naturally better at that, or programmed that way, not necessarily better at it. It's just how they're programmed. Maybe why Danica Patrick crashed all the time. I don't know. But you know,
Interesting.
just something I remember reading. But yeah, it's and the scary thing is what you just said of like it only works if we're all automated, and that's where I think some people want to go. Obviously, there's some companies that just see it as a great technology.
For sure.
I think
Lots of money to be made, potentially.
Well, and we see it too. It's like, okay, there's 40,000 highway deaths. If we could eliminate those by automation, or even say like, okay, well, we're going to bring it down to 10,000. There's going to be software glitches. There's going to be errors. There's going to be issues. There's going to be cars that get hacked. All those problems will come up. But if that's a 10,000 a year death situation versus 40,000 a year for humans, I don't think any of us could oppose that.
No, and that's
with
where,
a heart.
Well, and you know, I think us as car enthusiasts, I like driving. I like the act of operating a vehicle. So even if I'm in traffic or if I'm commuting, yeah, I could be tired, I could be frustrated, whatever, but there's still an aspect of like, you know, I kind of like this engaging with the machine that I am doing. If I didn't, and I just commuted in like gridlock highway at for an hour each way.
Well, it wouldn't be gridlock.
Well,
if
but
it
like
was autonomy.
If that's what I was doing today, I could see being like, yeah, let me sit back here and read a book or scroll on my apps or whatever while somebody else, while
12-hour road trip to Maine with the family or
yeah,
Hilton Head or whatever. Yeah.
But
absolutely.
I think it's almost like that, in my opinion, that is like the wrong direction. It's like instead of creating like walkable cities or public transit, we are instead like doubling down on something that like maybe isn't the right answer for that mass transit kind of like situation. Because I don't want cars to go away. I love cars, but I understand they're like not fit for every situation.
Yeah, the public transit thing is opening up a whole nother can of worms.
Sorry.
Because just the cost. I mean, people say, "Oh, that's the answer." You know, why doesn't America have all these high-speed rails and trains like Europe does? I mean, the cost is astronomical for those systems. It's like, I don't remember the numbers, but I remember reading something, and it was like, you know, a highway is like $1 million a foot, and a rail system, like a high-speed rail, is like $1 billion a foot or something. That level of magnitude difference in the cost to build and maintain, that you can't do that across an urban expanse like America. So
yeah,
maybe it's 100,000 and 10 million or something. I don't know, but the magnitude of price difference was multiple powers of 10. We could go on that forever. There's more articles. There's more stuff about Waymo we could talk about. But we've exhausted the subject, I think. Except Tyler has one more thing.
Well, I wanted to look at one of my, like I used to like to check the Carvana stock before it just made me depressed after we did that article a while ago.
Oh, yeah. Don't look again. They're record profits again.
I wanted to look up to see what the current message is from Tesla about their full self-driving. You know, forever ago, and I think this article, so I have an article up from techcrunch.com that was published on January 30th, so almost a month ago, talking that they are now, because back in 2016, they said that all of their cars that they were selling with hardware generation 3, would be full self-driving capable. And now they're finally acknowledging that that wasn't true. That we actually will need to go and upgrade all of these hardware 3 cars to eventually get to whatever it is that they're going to sell as full self-driving. So all of this is just marketing. And like, buy our stuff because it's going to be great. It's going to be great in the future. Even if Teslas are good cars now, this was never in the cards. So if you want to know how full self-driving is going, I think that is how full self-driving is going.
We're not there yet. Yeah. Making progress, but we're not there yet. All right, Props and Flops, brought to you by Switchcars.
And Switchcars is the enthusiast dealership where we buy, sell, and consign only cars that we like ourselves.
Including Tyler's 98 Corvette pace car.
Coming soon. Check out our handpicked inventory at switchcars.com and mention SwitchCast for special pricing. Find more information at switchcars.com or come visit our showroom in beautiful Twinsburg, Ohio. Doug, what is the pick of the week?
2001 BMW 740i Shorty Sport with just 20,000 miles. Steel blue metallic over gray interior. This thing is as clean as the mileage would suggest. New arrival, Dan's shaking his head over there. It is that clean, indeed. I wanted to keep it, but I can't keep everything. So, yeah, check it out on switchcars.com. Our flop of the week. Ohio State Highway Patrol in the last couple weeks had a Dodge Charger patrol car stolen from outside their Chillicothe, Ohio post, and a chase ensued. And this is ironic because cops always tell us not to leave our keys in the cars, especially if they're running, yet they left theirs outside running. So anyway, they're on the chase, got the dash cam, super fun to watch. At one point, the perp in the cop car came on the radio rambling just insane nonsense, which lightened up the chase quite a bit. They finally deployed spike strips, which
Need for Speed.
They improperly referred to as stop sticks, which is totally false because in all the police chases I've watched, thousands, I've never seen them stop anyone. Really, they just... when magically they actually get the perp, they puncture the tires and they keep driving at 120 miles an hour just with less control. Sparks flying off the rims and stuff. But this happens to be actually the first time in history, I've verified this as truth, first time in history that after hitting the spikes, the suspect pulled over and stopped immediately.
What?
Yeah, I know. I didn't believe it. And on that note, actually... it's not the first time that a police car has been spiked in a police chase. It is the first time that the cops ever did it on purpose.
Nice.
So they got their guy and they got their car back unharmed. Amazing. Prop of the week. Multiple articles this last month. Porsche is committed to reinvesting in internal combustion technology.
Let's go.
After just a couple years ago, they were bent on EVs, EV Macans, EV Caymans, all that. And some articles mentioned that this was a costly decision, right? They've committed over $800 million to reinvesting in regular old coal-burning engine technology.
I do hope that this means and obviously I think they're going to continue, but their investment in like the e-fuels and all of that they've been doing, like I hope that continues and is hopefully maybe some bigwigs know that is possible enough in the future that is also a reason they're doing this other than some of the current
the
market
carbon
forces.
Neutral fuels.
Yeah.
Why not?
Let's go.
Yes, let's do it. But anyway, I wanted to poke fun at those articles because they say like, oh, this is such a costly decision. It's like, no, this isn't the costly decision. Digging in, doubling down on EVs, that was a costly decision. They're just realizing it now and having to spend to unwind it. You know, it's like saying selling your car with negative equity is costly. No, you already took the loss. You're just realizing it now. Yeah. So anyway, props to Porsche for admitting the error of their ways and planning properly for the future, right? We love the environment. We want the environment to be protected, but, you know, at the same time, like economics always wins, right? If these companies can't make money, if people aren't buying EVs, they're not going to make them. Doesn't matter what the government mandates. So hopefully we can look towards a clean future with the cars we love in the form that we love them.
That was so beautiful, Doug.
I didn't even write that in advance. Thank you for joining us for SwitchCast with Doug Tabbutt and Tyler Sanders, produced by Ethan Huffnagel. SwitchCast is an automotive entertainment and opinion show, and nothing we say should be taken very seriously. We do not give tax, investment, legal, emotional, or professional advice, and the only licenses we hold are driver's licenses. The opinions expressed on this show are exclusively held by the people pontificating at that moment and do not reflect the values of our producers or sponsors. Our theme music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. If you like this show, you can stream it in its entirety on your favorite audio podcast platform. Check out switchcast.live for more info.